This is why I feel sorry for coaches who have been coaching for decades. I got defensive and I reacted in a way I wish I didn't. Arguably, the most difficult thing to do is to... I make this video because after this conversation that I had with this coach, I am deciding to pivot. So I'm still going to focus on the plan that I had for my players, but I'm going to pivot on how I was coaching. I'm going to change some things. It's quite a bit of a change, but it's for the better. So in future videos, I'm not going to go in the same direction that I did in the past. I'm moving in a new direction, and I am going to become a better coach because of it, while still staying true to my reasoning or my intent or my purpose for being a soccer coach. At the end of the day, it is always for the kids. It is always for what the kids can take outside of the game, not just within soccer. So I am going to do everything I can to help them improve in soccer, but for me, it's doing things in a certain way, learning from me how I conduct myself and how my character is displayed through the good times, the bad times, when things don't look good in our process of development, and how I carry myself, how I treat them, and how they can take that experience and knowledge from what I did outside of the game. So that's always going to be my priority, regardless of the pivots that I do. Arguably, the most difficult thing to do is to take constructive criticism on your coaching ability. And the reason I smile about this is because I had this happen to me this past weekend, 2 days ago, and I am very grateful for this, but at the time I wasn't as grateful because I wasn't seeing it in a particular lens until the conversation started going. My coaching, or my style method of coaching, was critiqued constructively by another coach that I've been working with or working under. And when I first took this information, I took it from a defensive approach, because I think for most people, whenever they take in constructive criticism, your automatic reaction is to defend your position. I do think this is good on some level, because I don't think it's good for people to waver in their decision making very quickly without much thought. So I think it's good that that's our automatic reaction, but I think it's even better, or I know it's even better, that at some point, whenever someone is explaining, that's when you have to begin to look at what you're doing, and you have to be open to what they're saying. So when they're talking, you have to put your previous conceptions aside and at least be open and listen to what they're saying. And for me, what I was doing was challenge. And the reason I took offense to it is because it's not like I came up with that stuff on a whim. It's something that I had thought about and I had planned. I'd spent a lot of time planning. So to revert out of it was the difficult part for me. And this is why I feel sorry for coaches who have been coaching for decades, because to be open to new information that goes against your information when you've been coaching for decades with some success has to be the hardest thing possible. It has to be one of the most difficult things. And then obviously as you get older, it's harder to change. Or when you do change, you have to be very careful about what you want to change. But in any case, it's not so much that you refuse to change or you change. It's, are you open to what the other person is saying? Are you actually listening, or are you waiting for the other person to finish talking? So after the beginning of the conversation, I have to admit I got defensive and I reacted in a way I wish I didn't, but I knew that over time, over that phone conversation, I had to change. I had to look at myself. I had to think, am I really doing what's best? And I had to be open to what the other person is saying. So as a result of that, I took what he said and I thought about it, and I understood that his intent was good. I understood that the other coach's intent was good to correct me. So after putting more thought into this, and then as you're open to what he's saying, you begin to be more open to what he's saying. And again, this doesn't mean you're going to change, but it means you're going to hear him out. So after this, I was able to really think about the negatives about what I was doing, the positives about what he said. And then I was able to come to a decision that what he was doing was better than what I was doing. And then after that conversation, and it was a long one, it was about an hour long, 50 minutes to an hour long. After that conversation, I was able to apply it immediately later that day. But this is really just a reminder as a coach that, and not just as a coach, but coach, because this is the topic of what we're talking about, is that you have to be always open to what the other person is saying. Not that you have to take it in, not that you have to change it, not that you have to take their advice, but it is important to stay open so that you're constantly challenging what you're doing to see if you can tweak it, even like 5%. 2%, 10% to keep improving as a coach.